doesn't even occur to majority of the people to ask themselves, what does it mean to be a citizen?
You see a Chinese balloon shot down and you chant, USA, USA. You recalled when you got your US citizenship, you said, I feel like a different person.
Right.
And you felt responsible to the nation in a way that you had not before.
Right.
So when you, either because of the explicit words that you proclaimed, or because of the associations to the oath-taking naturalization ceremony, or because of other reasons, this entering into the covenant changed your sense of yourself, your sense of your duties, your sense of your personal narrative, and you felt, I would say, a compulsion or an impulse to live with integrity to that new narrative.
Okay, so a practical suggestion, which I know it most likely can't be done, but maybe it can be.
Okay, so you're telling me you're making a practical suggestion to do the impossible.
Yes.
Okay, so this is one of the, of course, slogans of the French 1968 protesters. Be realistic, demand the impossible.
Yes, exactly. And this is exactly, I'm realistic, and I shall demand the impossible.
Okay, so what are you demanding?
So Pini and I went through a process.
The process of naturalization?
Yes. And it was impactful, but I proposed the impossible and I demand it now, practical purposes, that every United States born citizen should go through a naturalization process that is not, that it mimics the naturalization process that Pini and I went through in some way, but is not somehow a legal criterion for citizenship, rights, and responsibility. Some sort of a ritual. The ritual has to be as substantive as possible, while at the same time not representing a legal requirement for those people who were born here to become citizens like it was for us.
Right. So, you know, we grew up in elementary school doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
You go to ball games, you sing the Star Spangled Banner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nieto.
You know, you see a Chinese balloon shot down and you chant, USA, USA.
Yeah. See,
what is missing?
everything. At least in my case, the ritual was something very close to what you describe as entering into a new covenant. And it invoked in me sort of a new area to explore and ponder, which was not done at once. It was done gradually in segments and all that. As what does it mean that I am now committed to a constitution? That's what I swore to. To defend and protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So what is this document that I swore to protect? What are its implications on me and on humanity? What are my responsibilities to it? What does it mean to defend it against enemies, foreign and domestic. What are these things mean? To various degrees, I think I was thinking about this every once in a while, back and forth. In many cases, I did not realize, did not see some of the dangers way ahead in time to actually prepare for them. So that's one of the things I lament, because I should have paid attention to these dangers as part of the commitment to the protection of the Constitution implications. But I think that a large part of what's going on in our society is that people don't really reflect, and even it doesn't even occur to majority of the people to ask themselves, what does it mean to be a citizen? And that is the why, at least to some extent, and I can't exactly say how much the effect of it. That's why Athena's, poo-pooing the USA are very good examples of people genuinely think that that's what it means for them to love this country and committed to this country and so forth. That's what it means to have a huge truck with a huge flag of the United States, and that they say, okay, what more do you want from me? This, don't you see? I'm a patriot.
It's really indistinguishable from loyalty to a sports team.
Right, exactly. It's being a fan of the country.
It's being a fan.
Yeah,
right.
It's not being a patriot. You are a fan. And you, for some strange reason, maybe because you were born here, you are now a fan of this team, not some other team.
Yeah, well, if I was born in Green Bay, I would be a fan of the Packers.
Right. Not a good thing to do.
What, a Packers?
No. Okay. You can't do that, no.
Okay, so we're going to come back to that because this is important.
Yeah.
But it's for I think for many people that is there's that, and there's I've got freedom, which means unrestricted license to do whatever the hell.
Yeah, it's all misunderstood. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is, it's very easy, and that's a very good thing, Athena, the assimilating it into the idea of being a fan of a sports team. Mm-hmm. There's such a radically different flavor, true to what it means to be a real patriot or somebody who is committed.
Citizen, yeah. Because you can be a fiercely loyal fan. You can watch all the games and go downtown and
beat up on the fans of the other team too.
Of course, if they deserve it.
Yeah.
And really feel like it's important. I mean, it really becomes an important part of your identity. But you cannot build a healthy society out of sports teams. Fans.
But this is what's happening today. That's why I'm driving at this. You look at just the house today, just a few days. All you see is that there is it's like, I am a fan of this team, and so despite the fact that they suck, they just done something suck, and I had to go and watch the game and raise my hand and say, yay, to something the team decided to do. But I'm going to raise my hand and say, yeah.
Well, absolutely. Look, you're not a real fan. You know, if the Chicago Cubs are having 20 straight years of bad baseball in a row, a real fan is the one that keeps going anyway.
Suffer through it and go and again and hope and go to the pub and discuss it and ad infinitum about how, etc.
Yeah.
That's part of the pain, is part of it too.
Yes. So going back a bit,
what I wanted to emphasize here is the distinction of that and how I felt.
Right. And now, and you were saying that there should be a coming of age ceremony.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So this would be the civic equivalent of a bar bat-mitzvah or a Catholic confirmation.
Right. And it doesn't make any difference whether you were born here or you were naturalized or whatever. If you were naturalized at a particular age, maybe okay, but you were born here. In fact, most of the people that were born here, and I have a very good sample, have no clue what the structure of the constitutional structure of this country is. What does it mean to have rights and responsibilities? They have absolutely no clue and no interest. It doesn't emerge in their head.
Yeah. It's like asking, should I know the layout of the offices at the Department of Motor Vehicles? This is like administrative trivia that somebody else is in charge of.
Yeah, and somebody took care of it. I don't care about that as long as I can get my license and I go and I give it right.
Yeah.
So this cannot, and this is, again, it's very important to understand the ramifications for our project. This is exactly how one would consider if this were oral contract.
Yes.
Because you hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
And the lawyer takes care of all the goddamn legal nuances of the contractual and to my interest.
Or it's like you agree to the licensing terms and conditions when you download. Yeah. Do you accept? Yeah.
Right. And you see, the point is that something like this ritual, at least maybe in some percentage of cases, will bring to awareness that something happened here. That's what are my practical demand of the impossible.
Well, I think it is possible. They're not easy. So I can imagine a coming of age ceremony, the civic coming of age ceremony. And by the way, I think this is a good idea. It's practical and meaningful. That is, it's by practical, I mean, independent of how easy it would be to actually get the administrative state to do this. It is concrete and visualizable. You could say as part of the run-up to a high school graduation ceremony, like in the month beforehand, you have a civic coming of age ceremony that includes people gathering. You read an oath, you register to vote. And you get instructions about how to vote.
And so here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
When I had to do this, I had to, before, pass a test.
To get your citizenship.
Yeah, a series of questions. So in order for me to eventually get to that ritual, I had to do something else, which is pass a test with a set of questions. And I had to study for those questions. And then when I passed, then that clerk that ran the test with me affirmed, and then the bureaucratic process led to that ritual.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I think a lot of high school students will fail that test.
You are correct.
I think that should be required.
I agree. And you would have to do that. You would have to go state. What you could do is state by state have this. You'd have to go through state legislatures and have this incorporated into the requirements for getting a high school diploma, or basically the requirements that the high school at the high school level students have to take. What you need is a course in civics, which used to be standard and has been largely dropped. In a lot of places, it's been dropped on purpose in order exactly to undermine people's sense of civic identity and make them more pliable. But I think that is fixable, because it's very hard for any politician to stand up and vote against civics and against, kids learning civics.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is actually a feasible political project, not an easy one, but an achievable one.
And I think that I'm not claiming that it's going to be uniform. Obviously, the degree, like not everybody's going to feel like me. Like Penny didn't feel like me. So, but I think a certain percentage of people will feel like me.
Yeah.
A certain percentage of people will say, "Oh, actually, you know what? It does mean something to be a citizen and to be, it does mean something. It's not going to affect them. It's not going to, but it does mean something." And then at some points, that recognition that it does mean something maybe will come up and say, well, does it mean this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can be one of the elements that perhaps can help us to prepare the next generations to really be a little bit more aware of what it is to be a United States citizen, what it means to be committed to the Constitution.
Yeah. Well, and then unfortunately, there's another problem I just thought of, which is that for many young people today, being they actually don't really think about themselves as citizens of the United States, but they do think of themselves as a member of a kind of moral community and your membership in that community is based on your acceptance of what is often disparagingly called woke ideology.
Yeah.
That's what you are supposed to live with integrity to.
Mm-hmm.
That you use the right terms and okay. So, and a lot of it is good stuff. Okay, you should not be prejudiced against gay people, and you shouldn't be racist, and of course there's a lot of grave excesses of enthusiasms. But what it isn't is grounded in an understanding of American citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, there's a kind of some measure of hostility towards American history, slavery, and so on. That is not having this kind of civics education leaves empty space that other things can fill.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then the result is on both sides, as you described regarding the younger generation. That's part of it, that they basically say, my belonging is to this particular moral community. And the other consequence is I belong to this other fan community.
Yeah.
Which gradually can become a cult.
Yeah. And you think about visually what you saw in Charlottesville in 2017 or at the US Capitol on June 6, 2021. It looked like fans at a sporting event.
Exactly. Yeah. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's what many of them felt like.
Yeah.
That's what they felt like. And
that's just a big festival.
You're right. Yeah.
They didn't even think like, oh, we're going to do revolution. It's like we're waving flags and then with our friends, and we're backing our team.
Exactly. All of this is backing our team. I don't know what you want from us. I mean, in Europe more than even here, you get that flavor in soccer games.
Yes.
Prior to soccer games, after soccer games, the chanting together, the flagging, all the stuff, and now they have to separate the teams because otherwise they can kill each other.
Let me tell you, I went in when I was in Denmark. I went to the soccer game. Was Denmark national team playing against the Irish national team. Okay. And they said in the tickets, like when you bought the tickets, it was like big thing, like big notice, and you had to like check. I understand. It said if you are you're buying a ticket for the Danish section, and if you show up with any Irish colors or anything like that, you will be thrown right out.
I don't doubt.
You will not be allowed in. And so I was going with Danish friends, so I couldn't bring the Irish stuff. And they had it was in Denmark, most of the arena was Danish sections. And then there was a chain link fence, floor to ceiling, completely cutting us off from any possibility of getting of it. And then there was a completely empty section, a buffer, and then another chain link fence, and then the Irish people.
Jesus. Yeah. But this is it. And now it's like, and I don't want to go as far as Chomsky, who in an interview said, I don't understand the emotion of being a fan of a team. It's like, it's not even processed in my head. You literally can't understand it. So I don't want to go that far, but I want to say that.
Sorry. What are you saying Chomsky cannot understand?
What it is to be a fan of a team. What is this whole thing about being a fan of a sports team?
You think Chomsky doesn't understand that?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to ask why, because it's probably not important. Let's move on.
Well, I just heard him say that in an interview a long time ago. It was long. He was just like, sitting like this, like the Chomsky said, and said, oh, yeah, I don't really understand what is this business about being a fan. What is that emotion? What is it? It's like totally useless. In any event, so I don't want to at this point say that go that far, but the point is that it is lacking a cognitive reflection on what it is you're doing, and why are you doing it, and what are the commitments of doing it. Whereas in the case of being, and I want to make it broadly because the word citizen is bothering me as long as we discuss this, but let citizen stand for something broader. Then a commitment to something like a constitution, the commitment to the rule of law, all the commitments that go along with being naturalized and being a citizen and being a resident even of country. There is the tendency not to put the spotlight on that, even for those who were born here and therefore don't have to go through the legal process, I think deprives that identity from any cognitive reflection of what it means to be that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. If you had to go through the ceremony, there would be a sort of obvious, like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Why? What?
And with the right preparation and sort of like selling it, as it were, it might bring to the attention of some, at least kids, hey, there's something here that is happening.
Yeah.
Anyway.
A couple of things. I recall I was at the graduation ceremony for College of Earth and Mineral Sciences at Penn State University, and that included some students who had been through ROTC, the ROTC, the military training in college. So incorporated into the graduation ceremony itself, those students stood, I believe they were dressed in their military uniform. I don't recall. I think so. And they swore their oath to enroll in the military and active service.
Mm-hmm.
That is, they integrated that ceremony together with the graduation from college. Now, one could imagine integrating this citizenship allegiance ceremony with the high school graduation ceremony.
Right. Now, one of the challenges that such a thing will face, most likely in at least some states, is when you have in high school students who are actually not citizens.
Right. So they don't. It's just then they don't participate in that part of the ceremony. Everybody else stands up. They stay seated. That's fine.
So one has to figure out how to handle those kind of cases. I'm not sure exactly.
It's not that hard. I think you just say those, just like not everybody was in the ROTC, so they didn't stand up for that part of the ceremony.
The question is whether some sensitivities will be raised. But anyway, I think that what I was trying to say is that the way things are now, many people who are born here don't ever are given or encouraged to take the opportunity to think, what does it mean that you have these privileges and responsibilities?
Mm-hmm.
At all.
That's right.
And so it kind of becomes I don't know how to call it. I don't know how to call it, so I'm going to call it. I don't know whether it's the right calling it, but I'm going to call it anyway because it's the only calling that I have.
You're called to do this.
And that's the only way I can call it, since I'm called to call this. It's like the total secularization of this covenantal process of belonging.
Or maybe call it disenchantment.
Disenchantment, yes. So is that like, yes.
Because it can be secular. It's
It is secular. That's why what I wanted to say is that it deprives it of its of the full content. Full sort of.
And I think exactly a way to phrase it is that you are denied the opportunity for your identity to evolve.
Right. And to see yourself as
yourself as this,
because it's like, what does it mean? Yeah, it means that I can travel and I can do this and I can buy this. Oh yeah, but okay, fine. What's the big deal about that? I can travel. Then at some point I can do this, and then at some point I can do this, and at some point I can, if I want to, I apply for night voting. If I want to vote, then I can do this. It's kind of like the whole thing is. It seems like the being this is just some sort of bureaucratic thing.
Yeah. And I would say this, you could, a way of phrasing it is you've degraded a covenant to a contract.
Right. Exactly. And this is one of the elements that distinguish a covenantal conception of our society from a contractual.
Yeah.
And another aspect that I want to say is that in the contractual conception, you can actually delegate.
Sure.
Most of the contractual responsibilities and duties and all that to a third party.
Who handles
handles all of it. You handle this thing.
Administration for you.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas in a covenant, that cannot be done.
Yeah.
You
So-
have to be part of it and have some elements of your involvement. You can't just simply delegate.
Right. It's like, well, you know, honey, I know we said we were going to be monogamous, but I'm kind of busy, so I've hired somebody to handle the, you know, marital duties.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And you'll get the same quality of service.
Yes, all the contractual boxes are checked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I wanted to sort of squeeze out here, which is somewhat different element, this discussion, than what we talked about previously, although we touched upon some of them.
Okay, guys, it is past time.
Past time. It's always past time.
It's always past time. It's one of my pastimes is to.
Yeah, it's past time.
Right.
Okay,
So,
guys, see you next week.
thanks for watching. We hope you can join us in our conversation and our work about how to revitalize democracy for the 21st century. If you've got a response, a thought, a question, please post it in the comments below. Even better, please head over to our website at www.refoundingdemocracy.com and sign up for our newsletter. You'll be notified as soon as new videos drop or there's a newsletter, and you'll be able to join our growing community of folks who are working to think together and act together to help save our democracy from authoritarianism. If you can sign up for a paid subscription, that helps us a lot, and you'll get access to some bonus materials. But in any case, most of the core materials will be free, and we really welcome your participation. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.